Welcome to the So Much More podcast, where we talk with people in the custom window treatment, soft home furnishings industry, and so much more. I'm your host, Seal DeGuglielmo. My guest on the podcast today is Susan Fortucci. She began sewing at home on her grandmother's treadle sewing machine and made most of her own clothes throughout high school. In her early 20s, she met her future husband who owned a sailboat. She soon learned to make canvas projects and sails, and this experience led her to work in canvas shops and sail lofts as the couple sailed from Boston to Florida and the Bahamas. After settling in Maryland, Susan accepted a position at a sail loft. Not long after, she noticed an ad for a seamstress in a drapery workroom. Intrigued, she applied and was hired. And when the workroom owner retired, several of her designers encouraged Susan to open her own business. She followed their advice and officially established her workroom in 2003. One of the things I have really enjoyed about doing this podcast is learning how different all of our stories are and how all of our journeys have started so differently. We have so much in common, but each of us has our own individual story. And Susan's is very different from most of the people I've spoken with. I really enjoyed hearing about her start. And Susan has a quiet confidence that I just really enjoyed hearing her take on things. So I really hope you enjoy hearing from Susan today. Susan, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I'm really excited to talk with you.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm so excited that you asked me, sitting in the spot that I've listened to so many of my mentors. So it's a privilege. Thank you.
Well, I said before we started to record, you've kind of been quietly in the background, working hard, but helping people in the forum of the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library and the Drapery and Design Pro before that. And you have a little bit of a different start in your journey in this industry. So we'll get to that. But if you could introduce yourself, tell people a little bit about who you are, where in the world you are, and a little bit about your life, that would be awesome.
Okay. I grew up in near Boston and also in upstate New York, and then back to the Boston area. And then shortly after that, eventually met my future husband. Walking into the door of his yacht club, he opened the door and hit me in the face. That's how we met.
Oh my goodness.
And so he had a sailboat and he said, "Do you want to go sailing?" And I said, "Sure." So over the next 10 years, for about 6 years, we lived aboard that sailboat and sailed from the Boston area down to Florida, back again to rebuild the boat, back down again to the Bahamas. And then I know that some people find this hard to believe, but I did not enjoy the sun. It seems like 24 hours a day. And wanted to get back to the Four Seasons. So we loved the Chesapeake Bay area when we were sailing through it. So we came back to Maryland. We got hit by lightning when we were in Solomons and broke down in Oxford. So we ended up on the eastern shore of Maryland. A lot of people don't realize Maryland is cut in half by the Chesapeake Bay. There's the eastern shore and the western shore. Western shore is what people think of as Maryland, which is Annapolis, Baltimore, and eventually over to D.C. in that area. We're on the eastern shore, which is very rural. It's all corn and chickens and soybeans. Okay. And then there's Easton in Talbot County. It's a huge retirement area. And a lot of homes and second homes and third homes from people that come down from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Virginia. So a lot of window treatments. And so going back, I've sewed all my life. Started in like 6th, 7th grade, home ec and such, and at home on my grandmother's treadle sewing machine, and stayed with it. And so my father eventually bought me an electric Singer sewing machine. Okay. And so through the early years, I made all my own clothes pretty much for school. And then when I was on the sailboat with my husband, he worked in boatyards and I worked in sail lofts and canvas shops. And so that's how my, I guess you would say, professional sewing started. Okay. Learned on the job at the first canvas shop I worked at. And, made dodgers and biminis and sail covers and such. And then we also worked at a sail loft making sails and made all the canvas and sails, not all the sails, but all the canvas for our own boat. Okay. So did that off and on for 6 or 7 years. And then, like I said, when we ended up in Maryland, I got a job at a sail loft. And the week I was to start, I saw an ad in the paper for a seamstress needed for a drapery workroom. Had no idea what that was.
Okay.
But it sounded, I don't want to say easier, that's not the right word. Sail work and canvas work is big, huge pieces of fabric crawling around on the floor, crawling around on boats, hard on your hands. And it just seemed like, and it was something different. So it was like, I love to learn. And so I thought, well, let's see what that's about. So I got that job. So that's how I started in the treatment business.
Okay. And then in your bio, you were saying when she retired, some of her designers wanted you to keep going.
Yes. So when for various reasons, after 5 years, I left there and I went to work in retail. I worked at a bookstore, which I just loved. But and the designers would come in, a couple of them would come in every once in a while, occasionally, and ask when I was going to open my own workroom. And I kept saying, I just don't know if I'm going to have enough work to make enough money. And they kept saying, you will, you will, you will, you will. So finally, it was about, I don't know, I think about 4 or 5 years later, I finally said, you know what? I'm ready.
Okay.
So I did. I just, I always had sewing machines because I sewed, I love to sew. So I always had sewing machines, and I knew what I knew from her. And I said, okay. So I opened my door and I had work that day.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's incredible.
So
go ahead.
Yeah. So I had the 2 designers that had asked me to open. And then when my husband worked, he happened, God works in mysterious ways. He happened to be talking to, he worked at a boatyard at a museum, and he happened to be talking to a woman that was there, and she and her partner were designers. And so then they came on board. And so, so for the first 4 or 5 years, I had those 3 designers that I worked for.
Okay. So there was enough work.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So this was I started in 2003 on my own.
Okay.
And there was plenty of work.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're ready to go into my more training, but I was so fortunate when I opened in 2003 because the Visions Expo was in Baltimore in 2003 and 2004. Mm-hmm. And then it was in DC in 2005. And then in the meantime, I found Cheryl Strickland.
Okay.
Her school and her conferences. And so then I went to Valley Forge for 2 years for her conferences.
Right.
And then sadly she passed. And then I think it was WCAA picked up and did a couple of Inspire conferences in Kentucky. So for what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like I said, for the first 9 years, I've been to conferences. Okay. And took every class possible that had anything to do with workrooms and not. I took business classes. I even took some design classes. Which I don't really do. And I took color class. I just wanted to soak it all in. And I couldn't believe that there was all these people willing to share their information to make my business healthier and better and me.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
That's what this industry is, just amazing. The people that are willing to share their knowledge. Yeah. It's just, without all those classes, I don't know if I would be where I am. I learned, that's where I learned. I mean, I learned how to make draperies with that woman, but I learned the business and how to make everything in those classes. The old timers back in the day, and still that's many that are still around, were just wonderful in helping all of us learn. Yeah.
So that's funny. Valley Forge is where I first found this industry and literally found it by accident, and lived close enough that I didn't have to get a hotel room and drove over there and just was like, oh my goodness, this is right. And as you said, I sat down in my first class and I'm like, wait, we're all going to tell each other how we do this? This is amazing.
Right. We're going to share our secrets and even of course at the time the big bugaboo was pricing. Yeah. And I remember one class, I don't remember if it was Valley Forge or where it was. Anyway, Beth Hodges. There was like scuttlebutt going on behind the scenes of people saying, I think she's going to share her price list. She's going to share her price. I mean, everywhere you could hear people talking. Yeah. But of course, through the years, I've made it clear that doesn't really help you, because every price list is different depending on the area.
Yes.
Yeah. So in a way, it might help as for a guideline, but you really got to find your own spot.
It's interesting, Susan, and I want to go back to a couple of things, but the fact of the matter is, I'll see sometimes in the forum and on Facebook pages where people will say, what do you charge for blank? And most of the answers start with, I don't know about your area, but, and people are willing to share their pricing, which I think is generous because of the responses that I see afterwards. And I see, wow, I couldn't get that in my area. I also see, wow, I need to raise my prices.
Right.
And one of the things that impressed me early on was that I wasn't charging enough, and I was not doing any favors to the industry when I did that. Mm-hmm. And as a person who takes, responsibility for everything, that was important to me. Like, I don't want them to come to me because I'm cheap. Exactly. I want them to come to me because I know what I'm doing. Right. And if they're coming to me because I'm cheap and not going to someone else because of their talent, then I'm doing a disservice.
Right.
And
right.
That really impacted me greatly when that happened.
And I also think it has kind of evened out a little bit, because we're also intertwined with social media and everything and pricing, and because people look at stuff they can order online.
Yes. Yes.
So it's evened out a little bit, but it's still you still, like, I don't know, me in Easton, Talbot County probably can't charge what you can in East Oshkosh somewhere,
Agreed.
Yeah. You got to know your audience.
Yes, I agree with that. But I also know that sometimes someone will post, one of my designers came to me and said, there's a workroom in my area that's charging $50 a width. And then there are people who come on and say, oh, I charge 52. And then there are people who say 50. They can't possibly be earning a living. And without knowing more about the location of that and the demographics, I still get torn a little bit between, everybody deserves to have beautiful things in their home. And I don't think it's snobbery. I just think but I have to be paid a fair living wage.
Exactly.
And what we do is a skill, and we need to be paid for the time that we've invested in it, as well as the time we are actually performing that skill. And I can do things less expensively, but that's not the client I'm trying to attract. I want to make as much money as I can while I make these beautiful things that you want me to make. So right. I still see, yes, I think we've come to a better place in our industry about pricing. I still feel like we have a long way to go.
Right. Because I was going to say, regardless of that, what I just said, I have to make a living.
Yes.
Yes. And my time is valuable.
Yes.
And it goes back to that old saying about, you're not paying me for how long it took me to do that job. You're paying me for the knowledge to know how to do that job. You're paying me for all those classes I took for 10 years. You're paying me for the 23 years of knowledge I have of doing the job. Yeah, I can do that in an hour.
Right.
But it took me 10 years to learn how to do that in an hour, and you have to pay for that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we've come a long way with that, but I do still see that. As I was starting to pare back a little bit on my workroom time, I had a designer who I'd absolutely adored working with. She picked out beautiful fabrics, did really beautiful bandings and trims and all kinds of things. And she was struggling a little bit with some personal things. And a couple times she would say something like, wow, some of my new clients can't afford you. And I realized that she had been doing a lot of people who were moving from their huge mansions
downsizing.
They're downsizing, but to homes that are bigger than the one I live in. So
Right.
again, these
Right.
were clients who could afford it, but she was also starting to work with some newer, younger homeowners who had no experience with custom window treatments.
Right.
And there was a person in our area who was literally the little old lady sewing in a basement.
Yep.
And I know for a fact that her per width panel was extremely low.
Right.
And after one or two jobs where she commented on my pricing, I did not hear from her again.
Right.
And I know exactly where she went. And
well, as I've learned in some of those classes, you have to know your client.
Yes.
That's not your client. Hopefully you have enough clients of yours that take care of you. But yeah, that person's not your client. Yeah. Just like, when we go shopping and we go, I mean, there's certain places we go to and certain places we don't, because that's, right. So same with the clients.
I feel like some of the newer and younger people who are coming into our industry grasp that a little bit easier, because they're either leaving jobs to either choose to stay home with the family or because they want to work from home. And I feel like that's a little bit less of an issue for some of them. And I'm thrilled to see that.
Yes.
Because it means they're going to charge the right amount of money and they're going to invest in their education and all of that. So it gives me hope.
That's good to hear, because we're certainly going into the motorization, and that's not inexpensive. And so that younger age group, a lot of them do have the money to go that way. So unfortunately, I still haven't done any motorization.
Okay. Your area is unique. And as you said, like, it's second and third homes for some people. So I think it feels a little bit easier to justify the value that we bring to the table, because you're not doing this. You're doing this for someone who has the money to spend on it. And I say that respectfully. I don't pull up in someone's driveway and say, "Ooh, they've got money. I'm going to," no, that's I charge what I charge. But it makes me feel more comfortable,
right,
that the budget or the estimate that I'm going to give is going to be met with a reasonable response.
Right. It's not going to be as shocking as it would if someone gave me the estimate. As I've said many times, I can't afford me.
Right.
I wouldn't be hiring me. But and we've also said many, many times, this is the land of the self-employed. It's all subcontractors around here, between window treatments and boats and landscapers and all that kind, housekeepers and all that kind of work. But we need those people that are moving here to support all of us. And they do. Yeah. So it's a wonderful, work codependent.
I love that idea, Susan. I don't think I've ever made that connection before. I love that idea.
Yeah. As much as sometimes we can complain about some of them, most of them are wonderful people and do a lot of philanthropy and support all of us. Yeah. I mean, I can't remember the very first house I went to, and actually that was when I was still working at a canvas shop. I forgot I did work for a canvas shop before I went to the drapery, but the very first house I went with the owner of the canvas shop, the boat worker was there at the dock. The housekeeper was there. The laundress was there. The chef was there. The landscapers were there. And the homeowners were not there, because this is, but they were coming for the weekend. So everybody was getting everything ready for them to come for the weekend. I mean, you even have somebody that goes and does the grocery shopping for you. Yeah. And it was like, okay. It was like, this was okay. Okay. This is how, but is that, so all these random people are walking through your house when you're not there, getting everything ready for you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not a lifestyle I live, but I'm happy to provide products for them.
Yeah. Again, that's right. We will all take care of you. That's what we're all here for. Yeah. So, which is the best part of the jobs in some way. I just love fabric. Mm-hmm. The fabrics that I get to work with are just gorgeous, exquisite, from all vendors and a lot of price points, but a lot of, on the higher end price points. That's what gives me joy, because I unroll that fabric and go, well, of course I saw, the sample when I did the estimate, but it's just like, oh my God, look at
There's
this.
definitely a difference between that sample and when you unroll that bolt of fabric. Right. No question about it.
Right. It's just, it's fun. It brings me joy. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Of course, by the end of the job, I'm like, oh gosh, I can't look at that anymore. Let's move on to the next job. Then someone said, like, what do you like? It's like, I love when I unroll that fabric and I start a job fresh, no matter what it is. And then but after a few days, it's like, okay, done, move on. Can't wait to do the next job. Yeah.
That's a good sign, I think.
Yeah.
So, Susan, in getting started, you had worked for someone else. You went and worked in the bookstore for a while. Now you're being asked. So how did you get started? You had machines. Did you have industrial machines?
See, that's another thing about me. I still sew on, you can probably see it, but the old blackhead singers. I don't know if you remember a year or so ago, you did pictures. I sent you pictures, and I think it was the Drapery and Design Digest online.
Yes, I'll put a link to that in the show notes. You did share with the layout in your workroom.
So I'm in a 12 by 18. It was supposed to be a living room, but it's a 12 by 18. It's not a big space. 12 by 18. And of course I have the table in the middle of it, 56 wide by 96 with a 24-inch flap on the end, which stays up most of the time. So 95% of my sewing is done on a 1950 blackhead Singer. And that's what I use for the first 5 years.
Okay.
And I still do, and I did a lot of handwork. I still do a lot of handwork, but I did all my hems by hand. So the first industrial machine I bought was a blind stitcher. Okay. So I did my hem. So then I did my hems with the blind stitcher. So that's what I had, was the Singer and that for 15 years. Okay. Or better. I do have a walking foot that I honestly have never used. Okay. And I have a Juki, which I have never used. Okay. So that was the other thing. You can have a workroom. I mean, I don't think I want to give up my blind stitcher, but you can have a workroom. I can sew anything on that Singer that the Juki can sew, as long as you can get it under the foot. And honestly, the foot on the Singer raises higher than the Juki. Really? As long as I can get it under the foot, I can sew it. Now, I don't do upholstery or slip covers. I just do drape, any kind of window treatment. Okay. And I do bedding. So I have, on a very rare occasion, I'm going to say, honestly, maybe 2 or 3 times, like a sham with a mitered flange and cording and trim or something. I would go around a couple of times, but I wasn't close enough. So I have had to sew around by hand, maybe twice, 3 times. Okay. But so and my other pet peeve is, because I don't have the space, all my machines are on wheels. I don't have like that layout around the room where everyone brings their things to, and they have like a table long counter next to their machines. Right. So all my machines, well, the blind stitcher and this machine folds down onto the table. Once I start a project, it never leaves the table. The machines come to it. I don't go to the machines. I can't imagine back in the day when I was doing, back in the day, we would do like 4-width draperies. I mean, granted, last few years have been like 1 width or 1.5 width because they've all been stationary, but I'm starting to do traversing draperies again. Okay. Can't imagine dragging 4 widths of panels and lining over to a machine. Over to another spot. Yeah. It's interesting how differently we all lay out. And you shared the photos, and there's an article. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. So the only industrial is the blind stitcher. Now, if I knew then, how many times do people say that? What I know now, I would have got a tacker, a pleat tacker. Okay. That is the one thing that I won't say I regret, because I don't really have regrets, but that is the one thing that would have changed. I did, in the first 10 years, well, oh my gosh, how many draperies were we doing? Yeah. And then it was the 3-fold. Yes. What the French pleat. Mm-hmm. And we used to sew the top of the pleat that I haven't sewn the top of a pleat for years, but, and then we went to the 3-fold Euro. So all that I had to do by hand. Most of those I had to do by hand. Well, I think all of those I had to do by hand. Now the 2-fold Euro, 95% of them I can do with the Singer. Okay. I just go back and once in a while I'll have to do them by hand. But yes, that would be one machine, and it's not inexpensive, but that would have been a game changer. I think about the time I spent tacking pleats.
Right.
Yeah.
And honestly, time and wear and tear on your body to be doing.
And that's why I have arthritis in my hands now.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
And as you said, if I had known then.
Yeah. But I think that's the only thing. I never wanted to get bigger. I never wanted to have the overhead of like renting a space, having employees, because for a number of reasons, we like to live simply. That would be a big headache for me. And I always heard that if you had one employee, you had to have two, because one, you had to have the second one to pay for the first one. You know, one employee doesn't generate enough to make it worthwhile.
Okay.
So
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
That was back. That's what I always heard. Like if you have one, you have to have two in order to make it to pay, and then you'd have to have the rent to. And it's like, yes, I've made a good living as far as I'm concerned. Do I make a whole heck of a lot of money, a huge amount of money? No, I make enough. Okay. And I never wanted to make millions. That wasn't my goal. I didn't want to give up my life.
Right.
Now, do I sometimes work 7 days a week? Yeah. But that's my choice. I was up Sunday morning at 5:00 to cut draperies because we took some time off on last Wednesday, and I'm going to the design center with a designer on Thursday. But that's my choice.
Right.
I didn't want to be. If I had employees, you're there 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And we'd take off in the days sometimes to go to the Y, or to go out to lunch, or I take a day to go into. I pick up and deliver with my designers. So, and thankfully, right now, because after about 2008, when there was a little recession, I picked up another designer after those first three, and that snowballed into a design firm, and they now have 4 full-time designers plus the owner, and they have it's a huge retail and design center. And sometimes those retail girls will have some design work. So there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I pick up and deliver for them.
Okay.
And plus it gets us out of the house once a week. That's when we go and we do our errands and, that kind of stuff. And we pick up fabrics and deliver the finished product and get to see the outside world and get to talk to people.
Yeah.
So
with that in mind, Susan, I'm curious. Have you ever thought about quitting? I hear everything you're saying about the living simply. I never wanted to be a manager again after I did that early in my career. Didn't want to do it again. And same thing. I did not want to employ people. That was not my goal. But I'm curious. Did you ever think about quitting once you started this business on your own?
Never.
Okay.
I can say never. No. There was never anything that would have made me quit. I just always felt joy that I was able to do something I loved, and make money at it. And I won't even really, the bad things, is it really bad things about it, are so down here that all the good is so high. No. There was a girl, can't remember who it was, way back on the old forum. And her tagline was, "I love that when my job is finished, something beautiful exists."
Ooh.
And I know. I always wanted to steal it, but I never did, because why could I? It was hers, right? But isn't that great? That's our life. That when we finish our job, something beautiful exists. Because somebody said to me once, "How do you justify this was 10 years ago, before the world was as crazy as it is now. How do you justify what you do?" And that's how I justify it. I create beauty. I make people happy.
Yeah.
I give them joy when they walk into their house. Your home is your castle.
Yeah.
And I give them joy. So I don't have any problem justifying what I do.
Well, I take a little offense that you have to justify what you're doing, but
right.
I I feel like we all have a part to play in this world. We all have different talents.
Yes, right.
And we can't all be neurosurgeons. And if we all were, who would be the nurses? Who would be the custodial staff?
Right.
Who would be the people who took care of the neurosurgeon while he or she were out doing what they have to do? So, but I do believe that the joy that people get when they walk into the rooms that we've been a part of the creation of, I don't think we need more justification than that.
Right. That's right. That's
right. But that's a beautiful statement. I love that.
I know. Sadly, I can't remember. I was going to look it up, but I can't remember her name.
I'll have to see if I can search in the forum.
You would know it. I almost want to say, who owned the forum? There was somebody that owned the forum before
Well, Janelle had it before me.
All right.
And Margie Nance owned it.
That's who I'm thinking. It was when Margie Nance opened. I don't know if it was Margie or somebody, but anyway. Yeah.
We have a mystery. I'll have to look for that.
Yeah. I have never forgotten that tagline. I thought that was great.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So Susan, what have been some of the biggest challenges of running this business for you?
Challenges. The biggest challenge, I guess I would say, is deadlines.
Okay.
Because a lot of times the designers, they have an install date. And so finally, I kind of got to the point where I would tell them when it would be done.
Good for you. Good for you.
Again, this is from Beth Hodges. This is years ago. I remember her saying the best thing she did to relieve pressure was to do that, to tell. And I remember the time thinking, I can't do that because it's like, maybe I will lose the job. Maybe I can't get it done by then. And then I didn't want to put the pressure on myself to say, okay, it'll be done by October 10 and I'm not going to get it done. It took me years. And I finally did that. And oh my gosh, yes, it does relieve the pressure. I was always about, I guess when I began, maybe I was like 4 to 6 weeks out. Once I had the fabric and the trim, and everything, once I had everything in hand and the measurements, because I don't measure. I just say in the sewing room, 4 to 6 weeks. It was always 4 to 6 weeks. And that was usually easily but under that.
Right.
Then, like I said, after 2008, when I picked up more designers and things got, it maybe would go to 6 to 8 sometimes. And then COVID, I was doing 4 to 6 months out for about 2.5. Yes. It was, and that was literally 7 days a week.
But Susan, don't you think because of the things that were out of our control, like when we would get material and whether we could get it, I felt a lot of pressure because I was working on a whole house job during a big part of COVID, but there was a certain part of, there's nothing I can do about it. It's not here.
Yes.
And I had learned from people like Beth to set the realistic expectations about when I could get things done. And we think nothing of ordering a sofa and being told it won't be in for 12 weeks.
Exactly.
We have our 3-day stores, but those are not for our luxury customers.
Right.
But I remember thinking like, okay, well, I can't do anything about that because it's not in my control. And there was a little bit of like sense of relief to that. Then I had to scramble when everything did come in, but
exactly. But that's what I would say to the designers. Like, how come if you're waiting 3 months for a couch, you can't wait 3 months for me? But there was a disconnect there in sometimes.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, that's different. It's like, no, that's not any different.
It's not.
Yeah.
This is a custom product and I'm a single person making it.
Exactly. And also sometimes I have to remind them that you might have been working with this customer for maybe a month or maybe 3 months, depending on the scope of the project. But by the time I get the fabric, so that customer thinks, oh, well, it's been 3 months. I just got it.
Right.
I still need that 3 months or 4 to 6 weeks or whatever it is at the time. So it's like, it starts with me. It doesn't end with me. It starts with me. And they forget that. So I do remind them of that every once in a while. Yeah.
And I do think that reminding and setting expectations is really important.
Yeah. But as far as challenges, I don't think I really felt any challenges. Like I
Okay.
said, I'm very fortunate. I don't have a website. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Pinterest. What's the other one? Instagram.
Instagram.
I've never advertised. I am so fortunate that it all just fell into my lap, that where I am, that's how it happened. And
Okay.
not a huge amount of competition in the immediate area.
Okay.
There's a commercial workroom that I know that is they use for certain jobs, not too far away. And of course, there's more under the radar people like me, and they're under the radar, so I don't know them.
Right.
But yeah, so as far as not a lot of competition for me, and yet a lot of work just sitting there waiting. So I am so fortunate and so blessed that, because I read on the forum sometimes, it's like, where should I advertise, or how should I do this, or how do what do I want to work directly with a client or through a designer? And I don't have to think about that.
That's wonderful, Susan. That really is.
I pinch myself every day. Yeah, I'm very, very lucky, very blessed.
The sponsors of the So Much More podcast allow me to bring guests to you each week. And without them, I couldn't do it. I'm pleased as the owner of the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library that I can use the library to help sponsor the podcast as well. The library hosts the industry's largest curated collection of educational resources for the custom home furnishings professional. Membership to the library gives you access to a wealth of downloadable reference materials, videos, live events, as well as a community of support to help you develop your design, sales, and fabrication skills, and to grow or start a business. Join the library today at csfrl.org. The Workroom channel is the premier online training provider for professional fabrication skills. Go to theworkroomchannel.com to browse the selection of anytime access courses created by industry experts. Watch detailed demonstration videos, download companion materials, and participate in private course discussion boards with your instructor and classmates from around the world. Start your course path today at theworkroomchannel.com. Education, networking, visibility, and industry discounts are just a few of the benefits that are offered to members of the Window Covering Association of America. The WCAA is the only national nonprofit trade association that's dedicated to the window coverings industry and the dealers, decorators, workrooms, designers, and installers that make up our membership. The library is a gold level sponsor of the WCAA. Join today at WCAA.org. WCAA, where you are never in business alone. Discover Klimaka Studios, where innovation meets exceptional design. Klimaka fabric and wallpaper collections are inspired by the original works of collaborating artists and developed with the understanding of how fabrics are manipulated into exquisite soft home furnishings. Workroom businesses enjoy exclusive access to engineered designs and best trade pricing. From clever layouts to classic linen prints, Klimaka Studios delivers the quality and consistency that your business demands. And Klimaka's reliable, on-time delivery keeps your projects running smoothly. Go to klimakastudios.com for swatches and trade account information. Klimaka Studios, for the joy and profit of workrooms.
So I'm curious, because you said you like to live simply. What is your definition of success?
Honestly,
Yeah.
to be happy, to be happy in what I'm doing, to be happy every day, to not have to worry.
Okay.
And then in the real world, the definition of success, like I said, I make enough money to live. At this point in our life, we're fortunate because we did live simply. We are able, we've been on some Cup 2 Italy trips. I'm doing a Scotland trip next year. So we live simply so we could do this
Okay.
now. Money was never the goal.
Right.
Living each day was the goal. And
I like that.
we've done that pretty well. Yeah.
Susan, I don't know if it's our industry or the people I've chosen to interview, but money is rarely part of the definition for success when I ask that question.
Good. That's good to hear.
It might be, having enough money to do what I want to do, but it's very rarely part of that definition. And I love that. So
hopefully, because most people in this business, whether they're designers, workrooms, installers, are creative artists. I mean, you wouldn't be in this business if that part of the brain wasn't engaged. And that's not a money part of the brain. It's the creativity that needs to be filled. So if that's filled, then we're successful.
Okay. So I'm curious, has there been a particular job that has really brought you a lot of happiness? It sounds like your lifestyle brings you a lot of happiness, but has there been a particular job that you were just immensely proud of and just really thrilled with the outcome of it?
All of them, but if I had I'll tell you, two things came to mind. I don't know if it was during COVID or just like maybe in 22. Can't remember what year it was. A wedding venue near us did a complete new owners and a complete renovation through this design firm that I work for. And I had the pleasure of doing all the window treatments for the guest rooms.
Oh, nice.
And I'm trying to think, was it 30 some windows? I think it was 30 some windows. And they were all Roman shade balances and most gorgeous blues, taupe, beige fabric. It was on the water, so they just blended it in with the water. Although we did them, my husband is a huge part of this business. He's in this room quite regularly.
Okay.
We did those in 5 weeks.
Wow.
And I got to see them up. That's the other thing. I don't do install. So I very rarely see my work up. So after they were installed, we did go down and got to see them up. So I was proud of that because they looked beautiful. And I was proud of it because we did it in the time. We had at the time, there you go, deadline, because there was going to be a wedding, I think, first weekend in May. So we had to be done. And of course, they hadn't, picked fabric or whatever. And I didn't get it until probably March.
Yeah, I'm feeling the stress of it as you're telling me.
and so that was an accomplishment. I was proud of that. And then for some reason, this one popped into my head, maybe because it was different. There was a home in the Plains in Virginia, which is big horse country. And because a lot of these homes are second and third homes, we also do sometimes their first homes in Virginia or Pennsylvania or wherever.
Right.
Beautiful home. I think it was built like in the late 1700s or early 1800s. And we did lambrequins. Do you remember lambrequins?
Yes.
Cornice boards that have really long sides.
Right.
And the designer had, like I said, it was horse country. They had taken like little English saddles and somehow put them together and made a mirror for over the fireplace. So it was very horse orientated. So the lambrequin, it's weird to explain, had a shape sort of like a saddle. It just kind of reminded you of a saddle. Yeah. And it just fit into that room beautifully. And then we also did relaxed Romans, kind of like London. So there was pulled up on either side. And we pulled them up. We pulled them up with leather and bridles.
Oh, wow.
Right. So it was just, I guess I remember because it was different. Instead of doing a drapery, a Roman valance, it was something different. So it was just, and plus it made it in about 4 different magazines. So that was kind of exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was
exciting. Very exciting. Yeah.
But I love that your first response was all of them. that you feel successful when you've made a beautiful product.
Well, as Ron, when I first started the business, my husband Ron would say that they're like your babies. It's like, the designer, he said, I want to, because he actually did installing for a couple of years, which he hated. He said, you treat them like, they're gold when you just make them and then deliver them. And he says, I can't even tell you what the installers, the designers and installers do with them. They just throw them in the back of the van.
No, I don't want to see that.
Right. He said, your babies aren't babies when they leave. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm proud of every job I do. Yeah.
Okay. I love that. I'm curious, Susan, when you make a mistake, how do you handle it and what do you do about it?
Fix it. Fix it. It's everything's fixable. We create it. We're creating it. So we get to decide how to create it. And if we're not creating it the right way, we're zigging that way and we need to zag that way, then we zag that way. So it's never a, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? It's just fix it. Just figure you got yourself there. You can figure out how to get out.
Okay. I love that. You talked about how important education was early in your career.
Absolutely.
Have you read any books? Are you a book reader? Are there any classes you've taken recently that have really changed anything for you or really had a big impact on you?
I'm a voracious reader. I read a couple books, not sewing, a month at least, nonfiction.
Okay.
If I could show you my sewing library in what I call my sewing annex, I bet you there's 30 to 40 sewing books in there.
Oh, that's awesome.
All related to window treatments, not very few like just generic sewing.
Okay.
Just about every window treatment book that comes out, I read. Again, going back in the day, one of those classes, someone saying, if you take one class and learn one thing, it's worth it. If I read a whole book of 90 pages or 200 pages and I learn one trick, it's worth it.
I agree.
So lately, like I said, I haven't been to like classes lately, but yes, I have, because I take them online. I watch all your webinars. If I can't attend, live, I'll watch it later. And sometimes just generic webinars, online. Like again, even if I just learn one little trick to the trade, it's definitely worth it. One that stays with me, you did recently was, I believe it's called the widget. It's a new Roman shade.
Oh, yes, the Centurion Roman shade widget.
Yes, that is on my bucket list because I do a lot of Roman shades, and then of course with all the new, not new, but the rules and regulations with child's proof, we're a little more limited as far as headrails, and so that's another way to make them. So I need to look into that. Because the old, certainly the cleat, cord lock and cleat is long gone. I've been using the clutch and bead chain or the spring roller. But this widget is another way. So I want to learn about that. So
I have to she has a starter kit that I want to get, and I'll put a link to that.
That's what I want to get. Yeah. But yes, as both of my parents were educators, so learning, you never stop learning. You learn. I want to learn something new every day. Some things I take in, and some things that's not for me.
Right. But I think that's part of learning. It's okay to say that part isn't for me. I'm going to ask you to take a picture of your sewing library and send it to me if you can.
Okay.
I would love to see how many books you have.
All right.
So I'm curious, do you use much technology in your business?
No. Or in my life, no. I use email and text, 80% email and 20% text. My designers email me estimates and I email them back. And And then, like I said, I go in once a week. So person to person. Yeah.
Mhm.
But any other technology, no.
Okay.
It's
I love
funny.
asking that question because some people are all about it and some people,
Right.
and what we do is mostly with our hands. So there
Right.
are ways to use technology around that, but we don't really need technology to create what we're creating.
Right. And again, because I'm fortunate, I don't need to. So I
Mhm.
don't. If I was a designer, and I'm not up on it, so I don't know what it's called now. If it's still called like Minutes Matter, I would
Minutes
definitely,
matters. Yeah.
I would definitely have used that product, and
Mhm.
probably could have helped me too as a workroom, because some of the design, it would have been nice to have done that on Minutes Matter and then send it back to them, because some of them like, oh, well, I didn't know it was going to look like that. It's like, well,
Right. Yeah, it's a great program for helping people make decisions, but also to manage expectations about what it's going to look like.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm curious, especially since technology isn't a part of your business, what 3 business items could you not live without?
Besides the obvious, of course, sewing machines. Um, business items. Um, I guess as far as fabrication, because that's my business, is fabrication.
Yeah.
I cannot live without my weight bars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many. I have 6-inch, I have 12-inch, I have 24-inch, and I have numerous ones. They are my third and fourth hand. When
Right.
I'm laying out fabric or whatever, that the weight bars are somewhere holding something down so I can work on the other end. When I'm measuring finished lengths, the drapery's laying across the table, the weight bars are all across the hem so I can smooth out to get the finished length. When I'm cutting fabric, especially like I'm doing 1.5 widths right now of draperies, so I'll put them, when I start that cut, I'll put weight bars down there so I can just zoop up to cut.
Right.
So yeah, weight bars, rulers.
Yes.
How many rulers do I have? I have 6-inch, 9-inch, 12-inch, 18-inch, 24-inch in wood. I have 36, 48, 60, 72, and 96. Yeah, I use, of course, we use, yeah. And, I don't want to measure 6 inches with a 36-inch ruler.
Right.
I
Right.
don't want to use, yeah. So like when I do my 4-inch double hems, 8 inches, I think I use maybe my 12-inch ruler, so the ruler for the job.
Yeah.
3 items. Sticky tape,
Yeah.
double-sided tape. I use that a lot. I don't use it for bonding in any way. I use it just to hold things instead of pins.
Right.
All my trims are sticky taped on before I sew them.
Okay.
Most of my trims are hand sewn, not all of them. If I can, I'll machine sew. When I piece my 1.5 widths, piecing any widths together, no matter how long, draperies, valances, whatever, I sticky tape. I fold one edge and just press it, match it, and sticky tape it and match it. And
Okay.
but yeah, my fourth thing would be valance stamps. That
Oh,
changed my
yeah.
life.
Yeah. That's really handy to have.
Yeah, they changed my life. Before I had shelf standards on. I have 3 windows in my sewing room. I had shelf standards on the windows and I would hang my balances or my Roman shades, but Roman shades, I couldn't get behind them.
Right.
So the valance stands transformed that. So
Yeah.
I have 4 of those. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think that's, yeah.
Okay. Susan, do you do any sewing? Do you still make your own clothes? Do you do any other kind of sewing? Okay.
Yes, but I don't make clothes. I realized I never liked making clothes, but that's the only thing you knew how to do when you first started, right? My love is bags. I love making bags.
Okay.
For work, my love is pillows. I love pillows and
Okay.
shams. That's for work. That's just total joy that day. It's like, oh, I get to make pillows today. But bags, I love any kind of bags. You can't have too many bags. So
I
I make
agree with that.
tote bags, pocketbooks, travel bag, all kinds of bags. I love bags.
Okay.
That would be my alternate career, would be bags.
Okay. What is your favorite thing to make when it comes to the window treatments?
Favorite. Well, see, all I've made probably in the last how many years is Roman valances.
Okay.
I made a balloon shade the other day, and I was like, wow, I haven't made one of these in like 10 years.
Right.
So that was fun to do because the brain had to be engaged, because it's not a Roman shade. Valance, how do I do this? I even looked up Susan Woodcock's book and see what she had to say. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember how to do this. And I just did an estimate for and that was a flat. What was that? That was a pleated balloon shade.
Okay.
I just did an estimate for a gathered balloon shade. When was the last time you made one of those? So I guess when I get to make something that I don't make all the time, so that the brain gets engaged, I would prefer to make balances to draperies. Draperies to me are like, just, I don't know how to explain it. They're just like a filler.
Yeah.
In between the good stuff.
Yeah.
But I will say, back in the day, if I was making like a lot of balloon shades or balances or Roman shades, operable Roman shades, then it would be nice to make a drapery because the brain is not engaged.
Right.
So it's just like taking time off. That's just by rote, just you don't have to think about making a drapery.
Right.
But overall, like I said, my favorite, I love pillows and shams. But mostly I do Roman shade valances. I mean, I haven't made a Kingston valance.
Yeah.
I haven't made anything like that.
Probably 20 years.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Again, I did an estimate for a swag the other day. I don't know if I've got it or not, but so some things are starting to sneak back in as far as a little more, not quite as austere. Is that the word? So not quite so plain.
Right.
A little more trims. Oh, I just did. How did I forget this? I just did draperies, a bolster, Roman valances, and a cushion for the owner of this design firm's home in France.
Oh, wow.
I know. So, and it was a French cushion. I said, of course it's a French cushion. It's going to France.
Of course it is.
It was going underneath a stairwell that had wooden uprights holding it up. So the cushion was not just a rectangle. It had like U-shaped cutouts to go around this.
Wow.
I know. And then it was a French cushion. And then it was a French cushion I had to stitch, and he's a riot. He sucked it out with a vacuum to fly over with it and sucked all the pillows and bolsters and everything. And but I've seen pictures of it. It fits and it looks nice. So yes, I have work in France. So that's exciting.
That's wonderful. That is exciting.
Yeah.
Susan, what do you do extremely well?
Ooh. Work-wise?
Yeah.
Can I say all of it?
Yes, you can say anything you want. This is your podcast interview.
I am very particular, very detailed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, a fair amount of handwork, which is one of the reasons I do get the work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, honestly, if I've ever had something come back because it was my fault. If anything comes back, it's usually because of a finished length of the drapery. They've hung the rod in a different place or something. But
right.
I'm and my handwork is I'm very good at handwork.
Okay.
I enjoy doing handwork. Haven't done it in a while, but like all my inner line draperies are all hand done. To me, it's just you kind of get into a rhythm. And it's
Right.
just, it's almost sometimes easier just to do that. The other reason I get my drapery work, the way I was taught in that workroom, I don't use a blind stitcher on the side hems. I do them, I don't like the word, but in the industry, I've heard it called pillowcased, but it's not really, because I cut the lining is 6 inches less wide than the face.
Okay.
So when you sew it together, it creates that 1.5 double fold.
Right.
And then I just do tacks, those loose tacks.
Okay. Yeah.
On the side to hold the sides together. So there's no blind stitching. I've never had any of that, what I call fishing line thread in my sewing room ever.
Okay.
And that's what, when I first started, and the designer's like, well, how did you, they didn't really care how I did them, but why am I not looking at that fishing line? I said, I don't make them that way. So that was a big plus, making them without the, those side hems. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very proud of what I do, and I feel I learned by the best in all those classes that I took, and like I said, took what worked for me, and what I knew would work from myself in my area, and because I didn't know how to do a lot of things when I first started. I didn't even know, like, I can't even remember where I was buying supplies from. Oh, I think it was from the same place that woman bought her supplies, which was actually a retail place in Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't until that first conference I went to that I discovered like Rowley, and there's drapery supplies is in Delaware right near me. And it was like, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff that I can.
Right. This makes my life easier.
Exactly. And also another thing about learning, I remember this was Deb Barrett. When you get catalogs, read them.
Yes.
Don't just look at the things that you order. Read the whole catalog, because there's going to be something in there that you don't even know exists. Right. And there might be something in there that will change your life.
Right.
And so at the beginning,
how you do things.
Yeah. At the beginning I did. I would read all the catalogs. Yep.
What do you not do so well?
Oh, swags are my nemesis. Hate swags. That woman that I worked for, she just laid them out and just folded them into shape. She just used her hands and just manipulated them into shape, and then cut it what she needed to do, and then use that as her pattern for the rest of them. I can't do that. Okay. Back in the day when we were making swags, I took every Ian Johnson class. I know how to make my own patterns, thanks to Ian. So I can make them. And plus I've bought Maffei's patterns. I hope they don't come back. I hate them. I like the Kingston.
You really don't like swags.
I hate swags because they're difficult for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And this isn't just making your brain work. This is making your brain hurt.
That's right.
Okay.
They look good, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what do you love best about this business?
That I do something I love and make money at it. I remember when I first started working in a canvas shop, I never knew I could sew and make money. I thought you had to, again, as my parents were educators, white collar, everybody in my family is teachers. A lot of people in my family are teachers. So I thought I had to be a home ec teacher. Then I found out it was all that science, and I don't like science. I was like, why do I have to learn science to be a home ec teacher? Anyway, so I didn't know what I was going to do. So I just have always fallen into, God has just made my path go the way it needs to go. So I just fell into sewing. I was like, I can make a living sewing. So anyway, yeah. So I love the fact, that I create beautiful things, that I can make money doing it, and my time is my time. Nobody, I don't have to answer to it. Well, I have to answer to the designers, but
on a day-to-day basis, you don't.
Day-to-day basis, I choose. Yeah. Until those deadlines come.
Okay.
Yeah.
what do you, besides swags, what do you like least about this business?
The deadlines, but that's,
Okay.
that's just the way it is.
Okay.
So
it might be what you love least, but it's not that big a deal.
But as a friend of mine said, who's also in the business, that's what makes us do our job.
Yeah, well, this is true. For
If
me,
you told me,
especially.
yeah, if you told me, oh, you have 6 months, then it would take me 5, months and 3 weeks to make it. So,
Yes.
fortunately, I always have another job behind. So it's like, I can't, even if I know I don't need that done for 3 months, I can't wait 3 months because I have another job coming. I always do my jobs in order as the fabric comes in. That's the next job. I have a whiteboard that I check in all the fabrics, so they're in order on the whiteboard. Mm-hmm. Occasionally that changes. If somebody's really screaming, or if somebody's saying, "I really don't need that for 3 months," and I'll say, "Can I slip this in first?"
Right.
And especially where I pretty much work for all the designers are all in the same design firm, so I can juggle, although they all work very independently. Mm-hmm. I can juggle a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Susan, what about you would surprise people?
People that know me would be surprised that I'm actually funny and have a sense of humor, that I'm not always serious.
Okay.
Yeah. I do. And that my husband taught me that. I was always very serious, but he's the one that taught me to live each day.
Okay.
You don't wait for when you're rich. You don't wait for when you retire, because who knows? So
who knows is right.
Yeah, he taught me that you live and enjoy every day.
Okay.
And
that's a
laugh.
Thing to learn. Yeah.
And I laugh was, life's short.
Yes. So with that in mind, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I'll still be sewing.
Okay.
I don't know if we've said enough to figure this out. I'm 60. Oh gosh. I might be 69. I am. I'm 69. I'll still be sewing. I don't hope, I do hope that I won't be sewing 6 days a week.
Okay.
That I'll be able to pick and choose more. Mm-hmm. But like I said, we like to travel. So as long as we can, and that pays for that. I'll still be sewing, and I hopefully more bags than draperies.
Okay. How do you sell your bags, Susan?
Excuse me?
How do you sell your bags?
Oh, right now they're just for me. That's my dream, is to make them. They're for me, and gifts.
Okay.
It's funny. My husband, he's a woodworker. He makes custom furniture and boat models. And we're actually doing a show with his boat models next month, which I might bring some of my bags and see how that goes.
Yeah, I'd be curious. See, I've seen photos of some of your bags that you've made in the past, and they're beautiful. So I think you posted a couple on the forum.
Okay.
I'm not sure where else I could have seen them. So if you're not on Facebook and you're not on Instagram, that has to be where I've seen them. I think you might have shared one or two. So I'd be very curious, because you could still do your sewing and you could still get to do that.
Right.
All right. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, they can reach out to me and I can send them to you, because you are not on social media. And I actually love that, Susan, that you have a thriving business and you have not had to rely on social media. So I think that's great.
So lucky. Right.
Yeah. But I would love to know what advice you have for someone new coming into this industry, or for someone who's been around for a while, or both.
Learn as much as you can. You can't learn too much. So classes, books, whatever, webinars, the camaraderie is just unbelievable. Other than that, that we make draperies, not drapes. That is my tagline.
Okay.
That is my pet peeve. Drapes is a verb. Draperies are a noun.
Okay. I don't think I've ever heard anybody explain it that way, but it makes perfect sense.
and it's in every trade magazine. So it's not just a non-sewing, in trade business problem. It's an in trade business problem because it's in every trade magazine. But yes, we make draperies, not drapes.
Not drapes.
Yeah, I guess just learn as much as you can, network, which this business does fabulous doing that. Yeah. I don't know what to say because I was so lucky. I never had to struggle. I didn't have to find work. So I don't know. I have a very good friend who's a designer, not in this design firm, separate, who I've done work for, and she has her own workroom herself. She's a designer workroom. She has to, find her own work.
Yeah.
That takes so much time.
It
I
does.
literally just stay here and sew. Like I said, I don't measure. I don't install. I just sew. If I had to go out and find work, that's a problem. If I had to go out and measure all these jobs, I would get half as much done.
Right.
I would get half as much done. So you must have to, of course, I would charge to go out and measure. Right. So at least but still not as much as I was making, So, it's a lot. Because I know a lot of these girls and men are designers, installers,
right,
measurers,
they're doing
and
everything
workrooms
from start to finish. Yeah.
Yes. So that's a lot. That I can't imagine. So, I don't know. I can't help them because I was not in that position. But boy, I admire them. Yeah. Because I can't imagine having to do all that. And have it be and make a living at it. Yeah.
Right. Well, but I think what you said, Susan, is get the education.
Absolutely.
And there are, I love that we can make our business what we want. And I know there are many people who don't go to installs. Like you said, you might deliver it, but you're not doing the installation. And that does take time. And if you're not educated about what's needed, then you can't make a decision about how you want your business to run. And so I think it's really important to get that education. So
the thing that not a little thing, it was a little thing, but it made a big difference, was I made my own worksheets. Some designers, a lot of designers don't realize what we need to do what we do. They just make draperies for that window. It's like, we need a lot of information to make that drapery. I even asked, it's like, well, how much there is that goes in. I have a worksheet for each item for draperies, balances, and each different type of valance. Pillows. A worksheet for each item, and it's full of places for them to fill in the information. There's so many measurements that we need, and styles and types and linings and So details. So many details. My girls know that Susan always has one more question. Like, we're done, I'm ready. I got the fabric, and then I go to make. I say, oh no, I need that one more question. Right. So, that's how you don't have mistakes.
You just took the words right out of my mouth, but that's why you had a hard time thinking of when was there a mistake. You're right.
Yeah, because exactly I have all that. I always ask that one more question. Right.
All right. Susan, this has been so fun for me getting to know you a little bit better. Like I said, I've interacted with you on the forum, in the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library, but I really didn't know you, and this was so fun. You said it surprises people that you have a sense of humor. That doesn't surprise me at all. I also really love your positive attitude and the way you look at this and the joy that you're obviously getting from the products you're creating. So thank you for sharing it with me today. I appreciate it.
Well, I can't thank you enough for asking me. I've just been an honor. And it's been a privilege. But when you were just saying that, it just made me think that part of that comes with age. I don't know if I would have been saying all this when I was 40.
Right.
I'm at this point in my life and can look back and realize that but when you're in the middle of it, sometimes you can't see that.
Exactly. That can be tough. But it's, I think, and again, it goes back to the conversation we were having before we got started recording. If someone in their 40s is listening to this, then they can know that eventually they are going to get to that point.
Exactly.
That going to smooth out a little bit,
Right.
and it will get easier. We promise.
You'll find your niche. You'll find your
Yes.
niche. Yeah.
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 Susan,
Everybody has their own niche and everybody has their own clients. That's a very important thing to remember. Yeah.
Susan, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Well, I can't thank you enough, Seals. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Good. I'm glad.
I really hope that you enjoyed hearing from Susan today. As I said, she has a different type of business, and she got started a little differently from some of the rest of us. So it was really fascinating for me to hear her story. I've known a little bit about Susan because she's a member of the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library, and she participates in the forum. And there are also quite a few posts in the Old Drapery and Design Pro forum that is also in the library where I saw her comments. And she's always so kind when she's helping people and supportive. So it was really a pleasure for me to interview her today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great day.